Welcome to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska on Big Cabbage Radio.
Hello, everybody. Ken Hoffman, host of Ag Matters, a farmer out here in Palmer. I started the farm Matsu Microgreens, and I'm also the executive director of the Farm Bureau. If anyone's curious of joining the Farm Bureau, wants to learn more about agriculture in our great state, you can always visit our website at alaskafb.org, or you can email me directly at matsufarmbureau@gmail.com. So today's special, we have somebody join me in the studio. I'm not alone today. We have Julie Meers from Farm 779. And so thank you, Julie, for visiting us.
Good morning. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. So you wouldn't mind giving us an introduction about yourself, how you ended up in Alaska, and tell us about your farm, how you started.
All right. Well, my name is Julie Meer. I own Farm 779 along with my husband, Pierre. I ended up in Alaska because I married Pierre. Blessed to do that. We were fortunate enough to be able to buy a horse property up on Lazy Mountain after living in a condo in Anchorage. So really appreciate that. Pierre loves bees. I love flowers. So we, over the years, have been able to cultivate both of them. We had a very successful peony business, exporting peonies to Honolulu for weddings. And COVID hit, kind of put the brakes on that. We got to spend 2 years with the flowers and bees and decided that we really loved the flowers. So we pretty much keep most of our blooms now, focus on the honey, and then we ferment the tips of the roots into a kombucha tea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Neat. How did you come up with the name Farm 779?
That was a gift of the USDA when we applied for the high tunnel program. Pierre is a civil engineer, and so we ended up building our own high tunnel, which is still standing 10 years later. They would call you by number. They wouldn't call you by name, and I just got used to being called Farm 779, so we kept it. That's how that began.
Okay, so you flowers and bees. Are there any other products your farm develops, and where do you sell them?
We do fermented foods. We make kefirs, krauts, kombucha, and kvass, and we sell now. We've been at most of the Anchorage markets, but we've settled in with the other old hippies at the 15th and Cordova market. We're there with Hatcher Pass dahlias, turkey red, AD Farm, Sledovich Farm. It's mostly a Palmer market, and we love it. It's slower. We know our customers, and most of our customers have been with us since we began, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, did you do any other markets?
We did most of the markets in Anchorage. We got started out here at the first depot market. It was a Monday market a long time ago. I went into that market to market my business as a health coach, which I had a practice in the Kozlowski Center. I needed a product and was making ferments for a friend of mine who was going through cancer treatment at the time, and took some coconut kefir over there, and the rest is history. I ended up closing my practice and going full-time into fermentation.
Wow. So you just do farmers markets with your fermented products, or do you have any retailers?
I don't, and I don't want them. I'm at the age now where I'm right at the cliff of retiring. I've built my empire. I've seen it grow. I loved it. I love what I do, but I love keeping it manageable. We have some plans for the business itself, building it up to sell it. So that's kind of where we're at with that right now. Dreams of being digital nomads. I'd like to find myself waking up in Italy or Greece, writing about being a woofer in an olive grove. I think that would be great. Yeah. That's what I love about the markets, is meeting the woofers and hearing their adventures and thinking, I'd kind of like to do that.
Yeah, woofing is pretty neat. I looked into it as well, having woofers come to my farm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool program.
Yep.
So you brought into the studio a bag full of goodies. Could you tell us a little bit what you brought in and describe?
Yeah, we got a freeze dryer. Freeze drying everything but the cat, it seems like. My two favorite things so far that I brought you, and I hope you love them. If you love cotton candy, you will. Freeze-dried watermelon.
Okay.
Which is awesome and took a long time. And freeze-dried dirt-grown tomatoes. Tomatoes, I've learned, have to be dirt-grown because when you do hydroponic tomatoes, you can actually taste the chemicals, which was kind of yucky. If I was going to do a next big thing, that's the next big thing I'd do.
Is freeze-drying.
Yeah. Yes.
What's keeping you from doing it?
I don't want to invest the money. It's about a $50,000 investment. And, 10 years ago, I probably would have jumped on it. I just don't have the drive to work that hard right now.
So you have all these different enterprises going on. What is your favorite one if you could just choose one of these? these things? One of these
Flowers.
products, the flowers.
Flowers. Yeah, I have always loved flowers. I'm also an artist and I love to paint and I love to paint flowers. The peonies just came at a time, I had the capital to invest in it. So we planted almost 3 acres of peony flowers. The business of peonies and getting to know their value in the floral industry, you can put one large peony bloom in a bouquet of roses and you actually have a bouquet that smells like roses. They have bred the scent out of most flowers for commercial production. Peonies will bring that back. That's a lot of fun. I love the beauty of the flowers. I love the herbal value of them through Chinese medicine, and learning about that was huge.
Okay, so give us a good breakdown of your peony business. What year did you plant the roots, and then when did you start harvesting?
We planted the roots in 2010. I started harvesting in 2011. I flew them down to Seattle myself and took them to the Seattle Growers Association, which the ladies in Kenai had formed like a coalition and taken them down there. And they wanted to make sure that those peonies were mine and not gathered from other places. That was fun. I spent more getting them down there than I did selling them, but it was fun to go down and take them. Would travel around. I came up from Seattle. So would travel around, especially to Poulsbo, and see the other growers that were hooking up with one retailer called Central Market in Poulsbo that offers a lot of lavender, a lot of peonies, a lot of specialty things similar to our natural pantry in Anchorage.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you started harvesting in 2011. How many years again were you in business?
We were in business until COVID hit and put the brakes on everything. We ended up in Honolulu. And we had another business in Honolulu as well. So we're at the height of things, and then here comes COVID and crash.
What was your business in Honolulu?
I did a raw dog food business. And we started that one up here too. The facility that was producing our dog food could not keep up to the standards that we wanted. So we just shut it down. It had to be right or it had to be done. So our business partner in Honolulu did die during COVID. So that shut that one down as well. My dogs get pretty good raw dog food now. Homemade.
Yeah. Okay. So the peony business, do you still see a lot of value in peony growing? Like, is it still a good business to get into for new growers?
It depends on where they see themselves taking the flowers. I think it's saturated up here, especially the farmers markets. It has become saturated with peonies. The flower growers, however, are an up-and-coming booming business because I keep an eye on everything. And I see the number of new flower farms coming up. They have 2 huge markets in Anchorage they can market through. We have them at our little market. And I believe there's 1 or 2 out here at the Matanuska market. The CSAs are brilliant. Brown Dog Farm has taken that above and beyond. Ben and Amy are very good at what they do. The weddings and the CSAs and all that kind of stuff. So I do see the flower market rising kind of above the vegetable market because the vendors that I see at the markets will sell out with their flowers before the veggie vendors now, which was unheard of last year. So
interesting. So what other varieties besides peonies?
Oh, sweet peas are awesome. Sunflowers. Everybody loves sunflowers. Ben Rimple grows some really cool sunflowers. Yeah, and he's usually the first one out with them out of the gate. So sunflowers just make people happy. Everybody's got a sunflower story when you have them at the market. Oh, these remind me of my husband, or these remind me of my grandma, or it's kind of neat when you start putting the tales together.
Yeah. Any others? Any other varieties? How about dahlias? What are your opinions on that?
I love dahlias. They're gorgeous. Yeah, Hatcher Pass is at the market with us, and he has some huge dinner plate dahlias. Rob does. Yeah, Rob's the granddad. He has one variety. It's a dragon variety. I can't remember. Every year I buy the roots, and every year I fail with them. I don't have the touch for dahlias. I wish I did. Yeah.
What is your opinion between farming perennial flowers and, say, annual flowers? I know
the workload. Yeah, I'm more of a let's plant a garden and then let it grow and expand it. So the annuals aren't really my jam. I like things that you plant and then next year you can expand on that. Part of that is just the amount of workload that I personally have. Can't do it all. So if I plant something like peonies or dahlias, which you have to dig up and then replant, but what's the marigold, calendula, those are self-seeding and things like that. I did take some classes from Seeds and Soil, Jennifer, and learned a ton about that and about gardening and how to do it and do it right. She has a real gift for educating people. Yeah.
So what if a young up-and-coming farmer comes to you and asks for advice on starting a flower business? How much land do you think they would need, and what varieties do you recommend starting with?
Well, I think I would ask them more questions to get to the bottom of what their expectations were, because it's really easy to say, you should do this, this, and that. But if I do that or if you do that, that's based on our assumptions of what we want to do. Pretty much a projection. I've learned starting small and manageable is really helpful. It's easy to get overwhelmed, and a lot of times people just quit when that happens. Again, in Anchorage, where we're at the market at the Lutheran Church, they have started a little garden there. They have like a transitional housing units for elderly people, and they have started teaching them to garden with a little garden there. And in the beginning, they were all gung-ho and wanted more room, and now they're like, that is a lot of work. And it's like, it certainly is. So asking good questions first, I think, is the way to figure out where you want to go and how you want to go.
What if they wanted to make, say, a living, like $40,000 a year?
Good luck right out of the gate. Yeah, good luck. What Bushes and Bunches did, okay, here's a wonderful example, is they moved another family up here that wanted to farm. And I believe they just paid the farm off this last week. But hooking up with somebody who's already established, who's ready to walk away or educate or pass on that all-important knowledge that you only get by doing the work. You know, Joel Salatin, he's got wonderful books out, a lot of wonderful information, but I think there's a lot that's left out in that, and people follow that, and it's like, this will be a piece of cake. I can do this. And it's like, well, there was a lot of detail that was left out. So I would encourage anybody that was looking at something like that, go talk to Bushes and go talk to the family that just bought it. And their name is escaping me.
Carrie Ann and Zach Smith.
Yeah, amazing people. And Carrie Ann is like hitting that ball out of the park. She is amazing. Yeah.
They both are.
Yeah.
She's doing a great job with the stand, the store, and Zach's doing a good job with the production side.
Yep.
Yeah, they're really.
Yeah, and I know her from the store and stopping in and buying Invisible Fish Company halibut, because that is so awesome. And her foresight to carry the best that she can get. It's like, I'll stop in there and pay more. Yeah, because I know what I'm getting.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
So tell us more about the value-added products. How do you recommend people getting started in that, learning on how to ferment food and things like that?
Take some courses, learn the chemistry behind it. If you don't do it right, you could get sick. Understand the value of pH. Go down to DEC and learn what the regulations are, and ask DEC for a recommendation of, how do I learn to do this? Who could teach me? There are a lot of classes out there. I've kept an eye on a few, and it's like some of the chemistry is left out. And that chemistry is important. It's like building a house and not putting rebar in the cement in your foundation. It's like, there are things you have to know to do. Yeah. It's fun to take a course. It's fun to get together, but make sure that the person that's teaching the course knows what they're doing. That's the best I can tell you. Go to DEC, because that's what I did when I started. Even though I learned how to ferment in 1965 from my grandfather, who'd been doing it forever. But I wanted to know what was required and why. And I'm one of those minds. It's like, oh, here's a regulation, something I could do. Why would they say that? Why would they suggest that? So I'll do the deep dive into why that came to be.
Okay, very good. Is it true that if you take a fermented product and say you preserve it or can it, does it destroy all of the benefits of eating it?
Yeah, you basically just have a really expensive kraut or kefir or whatever it is. The benefits of fermentation are the Lactobacillus plantarum. And I got really interested in that, again, with a friend that was going through chemotherapy and trying to rebuild her immune system. Immune systems are my jam. That's the language I speak. Nutrient absorption as well. The value of good food, i.e. organic food. When you eat food that's grown strictly with nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, NPK, that's all you're getting. You've got a big fluffy lettuce salad, but there's not much in it but big fluffy green. Yeah. Brains need nutrition. Bodies need nutrition. We see a lot of elderly people with IBS, Crohn's disease, a leaky gut, diverticulitis, diverticulosis. All of those things are magnified by food without nutrients in it. So you're eating more garbage, trying to get more calories because your brain's hungry. If you could just eat some good food and actually absorb it by adding in fermented food, you could turn that bus around.
Okay.
So
Okay. So real fermented food, when you see it at the farmer's market, it should be refrigerated. Is that what you're saying?
not always. Mine doesn't have to be because of the salt content and the shelf stability. And I had to prove that. That was expensive. That was expensive. It's a good idea to refrigerate anything for common reasons. But if you look at why people ferment food, a lot of times that happened because there was no refrigeration. That's why a hole was dug and things were put in the ground.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And archaeological digs, this is a really fun trip down the rabbit hole. Google or look into how many architectural digs found fermented foods that were hundreds, if not thousands of years old that were still viable. Yeah.
And honey too.
And honey. Yeah. What's the oldest? Like 3,000 years old in one of the pyramids?
Yeah, honey, dates, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't go bad.
Mhm.
They don't go bad. Good food does not grow bad bacteria, which is where when we talk about canning and things like that, which I'm just like, canning, you can grow botulism. You can grow salmonella. Your canned products shelf life is about 1 year. If you can more than you can eat, should you compost it? Should you feed it to your chickens? Be careful.
Okay. We were talking a little bit about honey. I know you said your husband, Pierre, is the beekeeper. Do you do any of the beekeeping as well?
I have learned to love the bees. It's taken a while. Again, I grew up around rattlesnakes, so I'm like cautious of things. The more I learned about apiaries and how an apiary worked, the swarms didn't bother me. The swarms are actually kind of cool because now you have extra hives. You can have extra hives. When I learned about the precision of an apiary, every bee has a job and every bee does that job. And the focus is the queen, not the queen as a personality, but the queen as the center of the hive. It's like, that's really cool. That's kind of a blueprint for a civilization that actually works. Yeah, found that fascinating.
Wow. So I'm a beekeeper as well, and I know that if you ask 10 different beekeepers for advice, you're going to get 11 different answers. Everybody has different. What are some of your top beekeeping tips for people that want to get started, or maybe some things they don't know about?
I would say ask Pierre because he knows more than I will ever know. The book that I like is Beekeeping for Dummies. I still refer back to it often. Again, I just appreciate the culture of a beehive. It's like they get along, they do what they're supposed to do, and things work. They stay on point.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you think that the listeners would find fascinating about what you're doing?
Just what everybody's doing. I love how many farms we have out here. I love the fact that people are wanting to garden and grow and getting excited about it. I love the fact that kids are wanting to learn how to can and preserve food and eat better food and learn why they should eat better food. Why a crunchy carrot is better or a local apple is better than a bag of potato chips. That's exciting to me.
All right. So what are some ways that people can follow what you're doing? Do you have a social media presence? Do you have a website, or are you just farmers market at 15th at Cordova?
I actually have a Facebook page and I have an Instagram page. I had to deactivate my TikTok page because I would get on TikTok page and 3 days later, I realized I had just wasted a lot of time. That's too much of a rabbit hole for me and too interesting. I do post what I'm doing on Facebook weekly as events. In the wintertime, I go into the massage school, the vocational massage school in Spenard. I've just joined Lucas Chiropractic for this winter as a health coach. So I'm available. I'm around. I just don't like big, noisy things. Don't go there.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on today's show. Super interesting, super fascinating. And I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Ag Matters. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska on Big Cabbage Radio. Ag Matters is a production of Radio Free Palmer, recorded at our studios in Palmer, Alaska. For more information about this program, email manager@radiofreepalmer.org.